Gray skies, not orange and blue ones, on Wednesday as the Mets fall to the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-0 at Citi Field in a ugly game, a monsoon mixed in there. On top of that, the Knicks lost in Boston. So not a good day for the orange and blue in New York City, but we live to see another day. It's an off day today, and then it's the series we've all been waiting for in the Bronx. It's Juan Soto's return to the Bronx after a 2-day break for him, as he did not play for the first time this season on Wednesday, getting an off day, the lefty, the ugly weather, Subway Series coming up. He had to fight Carlos Mendoza about it, but Mendoza probably making the right call. But of course, as you expected, the Mets B lineup did B lineup things and did not score a single run against Bailey Falter and the terrible Pirates bullpen. And they take 2 out of 3, an ugly ending to the series, an ugly series in general from the Mets, but you'll take the series win. And this team, I think, needed today. They needed that off day today. We kind of needed an off day. We took it yesterday. We're back. We're better than ever right here on Mets Daily. Smash that thumbs up on the video. It helps the channel. Comment below, what do you think of the Subway Series? What are your predictions this weekend? What do you feel about the Pittsburgh series? I think the Mets probably needed to play better, but again, in the end of the season, you're not going to look back and be like, damn, we should have scored more runs against the Pirates than we did. You think, hey, we won the series, and you move on to the next. And you can follow me at Jake Brown Radio on all social media, and subscribe to my YouTube at Jake Brown Radio, at Mets Daily Show on Twitter. We're excited for the Subway Series. Let's recap what we just witnessed, and there's not much to talk about Wednesday. Listen, Clay Holmes had 4 strikes on the batter, and the umpires messed it. I mean, it's been a story all season. It's New York or nowhere. It's New York forever. It's New York versus the world. Because I have not seen, and you don't want to be the guy crying about umpires officiating. I'm not. But we're just being realistic. There's never been worse umpiring than there have been this season. And I'm sure it's happened to other teams, but we watch the Mets. We cover the Mets here. And it's every single day. It's out of control. Like, robots are going to have to take over soon. Clay Holmes really had 3 strikes. You can argue even 4 strikes. A monsoon mixed in between. Didn't have the grip on the ball. Hangs a curveball. It's a home run. You can't complain too much because the Mets offense didn't score. Not ideal that in the middle of the monsoon they kept Holmes pitching, misses strike 3, gives up a homer. And the rest is history. No Soto. Bases loaded. You can argue you send Soto up there, but they want to give him the day off. You're not going to send up a pincher in the 4th inning. And the good thing about Mendoza is he's letting everyone play for a first-place team that has the 2nd most wins in baseball, tied for the most wins in the National League with 28. He's going to let an Azakar hit in that spot in the 4th inning. If it was the 7th inning, base loaded, 2 outs, it's a different situation. But because it was so early in the game, Azakar is a major leaguer. Bad approach. Swinging to the first pitch with the base load is just stupid. So I thought that was just a bad at-bat. Don't swing at the first pitch. Take 1 or 2 and then wait for your pitch. But he swung first pitch, flies out, and the Mets don't score all day. So you kind of wash that game away with the weather, bad day. We move on to the weekend, and today is an off day, but it's not an off day on SNY because you can watch Nolan McLean make his 2nd AAA start tonight on SNY against Andrew Painter of the Phillies. Nolan McLean is a guy quickly climbing the ranks of the New York Mets. 23-year-old righty, 7 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts in his AAA debut. This will be his 2nd start in AA Binghamton. 5 starts, a 1.37 ERA, 30 strikeouts, and 26 in the 3rd innings. So we all talk about Brandon Sproat all the time. We've talked about Blade Tidwell because Blade Tidwell's made a start in the big leagues where he got rocked in St. Louis. We talk a little bit about Jonah Tong, who threw a no-hitter, although it wasn't a whole game, but no-hitter. They took him out with 1 out left. Jonah Tong is on his way at some point. Nolan McLean is right on the precipice. And David Stearns talked yesterday about where guys are, when we might see some guys from the minors. Now, they're not going to rush any of these guys. Ronnie Mauricio is another name he talked about, not rushing. Ronnie's struggling a little bit so far in rehab, 3 for 24. His next step will be AAA. They are going to use his option year this year. So, they have 20 days from the rehab window to get him to the big leagues, or they have to use his option year. Ronnie Mauricio will not be called up by the end of this month to the big leagues, barring an injury or two. Unless there's an injury or two, they're going to use that option year this year, and Ronnie will go to AAA, and then eventually maybe we see him in the big leagues. But David Stern said he's not rushing McLean, he's not rushing Ronnie Mauricio, but those are 2 key names to keep an eye on that you might see later this summer at Citi Field. The way McLean's pitching, again, if there's an injury or two, he could be on his way. Now, the Mets have Sean Manaea on the way back in a couple weeks. They have Frankie Montas potentially on the way in a couple of weeks. So there's not really a spot, but injuries do happen. So that'll be something to monitor. If Clay Holmes, they were to maybe limit his innings or sit him for a start or two, maybe you see one of these guys like a McLean get a shot. Clay Holmes, finally had a bad outing, gave up a couple of homers. He only had one homer given up all year. He gives up two. On Wednesday, he was due for kind of a stinker. But that's a guy you're going to monitor his innings because you want him ready to go for September and October. So that's a name to keep an eye on. And Ronnie Mauricio, the way Brett Beatty's hitting right now, there's no need right this moment for Ronnie Mauricio. You have Jesse Winker back in late June. You have Jose Siri back sometime in June. So at this present moment, there's no need for Ronnie. But once Ronnie gets going in the minors and his bat starts clicking, he's been playing third, second, and short. He's another infield option for the Mets. So you got to figure, Ronnie or Beatty ends up being a trade piece if the Mets need to get, starting pitching and relief help, which I think they do. So Ronnie, McLean, you're going to keep an eye on both of them in the minor leagues. Juan Soto didn't play Wednesday, but he's going to play all weekend. He's going to play every game after that. The Subway Series. And for me, the Subway Series, and we'll do a full preview on tomorrow's show. I'll be heading into New York in the morning. Got a 7:30 a.m. bus heading to Manhattan. We'll do a show sometime in the morning tomorrow to preview the Subway Series. For me, as a Subway Series is always important. This is my 25th year in a row. I started my Subway Series, and I didn't know at the time it was going to become a tradition, but I just kept going every year, and I fell in love with the let's go Yankees. Yankees suck. Let's go Mets. Let's go Yankees. The back and forth, the fights, everything with the crowd. Anytime we beat them, it was bragging rights for me for a day. And you rock New York, you rock your Mets gear to school the next day. A lot of times it's the weekend series. So Friday and Monday, you're rocking your Mets jersey to school. Or if they lose, maybe you're not rocking the jersey. But there's always been something special about this series. To me, it's a rivalry. I don't care. I've never thought the Knicks and Nets or Jets or Giants was a rivalry. The Mets and Yankees became a rivalry because it's called the Subway Series. They played each other in a World Series. The Jets and Giants may never play in a Super Bowl. The Knicks and Nets have never played in an Eastern Conference Final against each other. So to me, the Mets and the Yankees have played on the biggest stage. And for me, it was the first full year as a fan. So when the Yankees broke my heart in 2000, it was war. And I think that's why it became a tradition for me. And obviously 2020, I was only there in cardboard cutout fashion because it was the COVID year. So this will literally be my 25th Subway Series, 25 years, 25 in a row. So a quarter of a century, I've made it a point to be at least one and usually more than one Subway Series game. I love that it's 6 this year. I'm going to be there all weekend in the Bronx, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Hopefully be there all weekend in July when they're at Citi Field for 4th of July weekend. But it's great. And this one has extra aura to it. Juan Soto's probably going to get beer bottles thrown at him in right field. He's got to be careful out there. Those Yankee fans are menaces. They are monsters. So Soto's got to be careful, but, man, he's hitting a home run or two this weekend. Now, Sunday will be tough. It's Max Fried who's been lights out, and it's a lefty. Juan Soto's hit lefties well. Rodon a lefty on Friday, so not a dominant lefty. And remember the short porch in right field. So we'll see, but I fully expect a Soto homer or two. Right, Saturday gets Clark Schmidt, so maybe it's Saturday. It'll be McGill, Rodon Friday, Canning, Schmidt Saturday, and then Peterson Fried, a battle of the lefties on Sunday. So sold-out crowds, monster energy in the Bronx this weekend. And, you think of Subway Series moments, and it happened this week 20 years ago, and I saw this on Twitter earlier. Dae-Sung Koo. Remember when Mr. Koo hit a double at Shea Stadium off Randy Johnson, and then Jose Reyes bunted, and he scored on the bunt because Posada wasn't covering home? Now, if that was reviewed, maybe he's called out. There was no replay then. He was safe. I think he was safe, but it was a very close play at the play. He had his jacket on. I believe he had a baseball in his back pocket. I'm not sure, but, Mr. Koo 20 years ago, if you remember that. And I was looking up Mr. Koo today because I was curious what he's up to. And a couple of years ago, he pitched in the Australian Baseball League at 53 years old. Shout out to Mr. Koo, Dae-Sung Koo, with the great nickname of Mr. Koo, 53 years old, and he had a scoreless inning at 53, despite his fastball maybe going down to 75 miles an hour. Shout out to Mr. Koo. Shout out to the Subway Series. We'll see you in the Bronx this weekend. We'll give you a full Subway Series preview starting tomorrow, Friday, May 16th, right here on Mets Daily. I'm Jake Brown. Look for me all weekend. We're getting content from Mets Daily. We're getting content from my socials. Shout out to Savvy Seats. And we'll have content for them. Lots of content coming all weekend long from the Bronx. So we'll see you in the Subway Series. We'll talk to you tomorrow to preview the Subway Series. Let's go Mets. Let's get back to winning ways. Let's beat the Yankees. Enjoy the off day today. But tomorrow it's orange and blue skies. Forget the gray skies. Mets at 7, Knicks at 8. Let's get a Mets victory over the Yankees. Let's get a Knicks win to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Mets Daily. Thanks for watching, everybody.